Hi, greetings, fellow hunters. Well, it's Supernatural Summer 2024. Woohoo! And this month, we're going to be taking a look at Supernatural Season 4. So let's begin with the very first episode of said season, Lazarus Rising. The episode starts with flashes of Dean's eyes with terrified screaming in the background. The next scene has harsh breathing, and then a lighter is lit. Dean is in a pipe box. He calls for help, but his dry his throat from no use and his voice is raspy and quiet. He looks as best he can and finally breaks the top off the coffin. He digs himself out and emerges in a field. All the trees have fallen, radiating out from his grave. He walks until he finds an empty gas station, where he eagerly drinks some water. He also examines himself for signs of the hellhound attack, but finds that he has completely healed with no trace of the attack. While examining himself, he finds a raised red handprint on his shoulder. It appears to be burned into his skin, and he does not seem to recognize where it came from. Dean grabs some more water, protein bars, and a copy of Busty Asian Beauties. As he prepares to leave, a TV and radio switch on. Thinking it is a demon, Dean starts to pour salt along the windows, but he is soon crippled by a piercing sound that shatters all the glass of the building. Then, as quickly as it started, the sound stops. Dean tries to call Sam from a payphone, but his number is out of service. He calls Bobby and identifies himself, but Bobby immediately hangs up. He tries again, and Bobby threatens to kill him if he calls again. Frustrated, he looks around and eyes an old car. He hotwires it and takes off. When Bobby finds Dean on his doorstep, he assumes he's either a shapeshifter or a revenant and tries to kill him with a silver knife. After a tussle, Dean wrestles the knife away and proves his identity by cutting himself with it. Bobby is amazed and embraces him. Bobby then checks Wilmore to see whether Dean is possessed by throwing holy water to his face. After there's no demonic reaction, he relents. Sorry, can't be too careful. He finally believes that it's Dean, resurrected from hell. Dean asks where Sam is. Bobby tells him that he hasn't talked to him in months. Dean admonishes Bobby for not looking after Sam. Bobby fires back that he tried to, but they both have had a really hard time since Dean died. He took off and doesn't return phone calls. He has tried to find Sam, but couldn't because he doesn't want to be found. Bobby says he hasn't seen Sam since they had to bury Dean. Dean asks why they didn't burn his body, as is ritual for hunters. Bobby says that Sam was dead set against it. Sam insisted Dean would need his body because he was going to find a way to bring his brother back. Dean concedes that he is glad Sam won that argument and confesses that he would have done the same thing, but he is worried. He tells Bobby that his grave looked like a nuclear blast site and tells him about the presence he experienced at the gas station. Dean then shows him the large red handprint deeply branded on his left shoulder. Bobby is horrified. They deduce that it might be the mark of a demon that yanked him or rode him out of hell. The only reason Dean will do that, they decide, is to keep up its end of a bargain. Dean tracks Sam using the GPS in his phone. They find him in Pontiac, Illinois, a town very near the place Dean was buried. Bobby and Dean arrive at Sam's hotel room. The door is answered by a scantily clad girl. Sam runs the corner and has the same reaction to seeing Dean as Bobby did. Dean and Bobby, believing that Dean's resurrection is a result of some deal that Sam made, are surprised by his reaction. Bobby has to restrain and convince him that it's really Dean. He's finally convinced, and they have a tearful hug. The girl asks whether the boys are together. Sam tells her that they are brothers. The girl says, "Oh, she should probably leave then," and Sam agrees that would be the best. It's an awkward moment as she departs, as Sam calls her by the wrong name. After Dean physically challenges him to confess, Sam promises Dean he didn't make a deal to get him out of hell. In fact, he's extremely apologetic that it wasn't him that saved Dean, because he tried everything he could think of to bring him back and couldn't do it. Dean relents, sadly telling him that he doesn't need to apologize. He believes him. However, this causes him to question on what being broke Dean out. Dean asks him why he is in the same place where he was buried. He tells him he was following a pack of demons who led them there. He figured Lilith might possibly be around as he was eager to dish out some payback. Bobby suggests that they get on the road to visit a psychic he knows to see if they can find out how Dean got out of hell. They need to know who or what did it and what the cost is. Sam takes Dean's amulet off his own neck and returns it to him. Sam asked Dean about what hell was like. Dean says he doesn't remember a damn thing. Uh-huh. They set off, after a little jab at Sam for douching up Baby by installing an iPod jack. On the road, Dean tells Sam that he has been perplexed by the fact that Sam survived the night he was sent to hell, since Lilith really wanted to kill him. Sam replies that she did try to kill him, but her burning demon ray didn't work on him. Apparently, he was immune to it. Sam says that he and she were both shocked, and that she vanished pretty quickly after her failed attempt. Deal's confused and inquires about Ruby's whereabouts. Sam replies that she's either dead or in hell. Uh-huh. Dean asks him, now that he's got immunity, whatever the hell that is, has he been using any of his freaky ESP stuff? Sam adamantly denies having done so, claiming that he has honored Dean's practically dying wish that he wouldn't go down that road. Dean doesn't look completely convinced and says, yeah, well, let's keep it that way. They both look back toward the road with worried faces. Bobby and the boys arrive at the home of Pamela Barnes, an old friend of Bobby's. After flirting interaction with the boys, she starts a seance and touches the handprint on Dean's shoulder to reveal who saved Dean. She conjures a being called Castiel, who was the one that rescued Dean. She says the being is warning her to turn back. She responds, no, sorry, Castiel, I don't scare easy. Bobby suggests that maybe they should stop, but Pamela refuses, saying she's almost got it. When she finally makes visual contact with the being, she lets out a blood-curdling scream and falls to the floor. The guys rush to her. Her eyes have been burned out. Boy. Later at a diner, Dean and Sam get a call from Bobby, letting them know that Pamela is out of ICU. Dean laments that it's their fault that she's blind, and they debate about what to do. Dean recklessly suggests they summon Castiel or whatever and work him over. Sam points out that Pamela got one peek at him and had her eyes burned out of her skull as a result. Face-to-face with him was just a very bad idea. Dean challenges him for a better one. Sam says they should just find the demons who followed to town and find out what they know. Just then, the waitress sits down beside them and reveals herself and the other people in the diner to be the demons Sam was trailing. She addresses Dean by name and threatens to drag him back to hell after he smart-mouths her. He trumps her, pointing that obviously something with a lot of juice wants him in play. And since neither of them know who that is, and underlying her wouldn't dare touch him since she's ready to be smited. He slaps her twice for effect. She does not retaliate. He says, that's what I thought. The demons back down and Dean pays for the pie, as he and his brother leave hurriedly. Though Sam wants to stay and slay the demons, Dean points out that the place was full of them, and they'll have one demon knife between them. Later that night, Sam sneaks out after Dean falls asleep. Dean wakes up when the TV switches on and sits at the gas station and a Pamela's seance. He arms himself. The piercing sound that he heard in the gas station begins and intensifies, and he is floored. Bobby bursts in just as all the glass in the room shatters. Dean and Bobby are on the road. Dean calls him and sternly asks him what he's doing. Sam's surveilling the diner, but lies and says he just went to get a burger because he couldn't sleep. Seeing what he's doing, he lies and tells him that he and Bobby are just going out to have some beers. Dean tries to persuade Bobby that they need to try to summon the being that's haunting him. Sam goes into the diner and finds one of the demon vessels lying dead with its eyes burned out. The possessed waitress attacks Sam. Her eyes are also gone, and she screams that everyone's going to die. Sam asks what it was she saw, but the demon refuses to answer. Sam lifts hand and silently exorcises the demon. The host dies in the process. As he finishes, the girl who was in the hotel room earlier enters. It is Ruby in a new body. She and Sam had performed an act when Dean and Bobby arrived at his hotel room earlier, as if she was just some girl he picked up. Sam has been working with her for some time, developing his powers. They talk about Dean and how he could have come back. Sam demands that she tells him what's going on in this town. Ruby claims she doesn't know. No demon has the power to pull a human soul out of hell and put it back in its body that easily. Then discuss what they're going to say to Dean about what they have been doing the past few months. Sam tells Ruby he will tell Dean what he has been doing when he figures out the right way to tell him. She points out that he will find out, and that if he doesn't find out from Sam, he's going to be pissed. Sam is well aware that Dean will be pissed anyway. He knows, though, that Dean is so hard-headed about this psychic thing that he'll only try to stop him. Sam believes that his powers are saving humans and he feels good about that, even though he doesn't completely trust Ruby and tells her so. But he decides that he wants to keep going on with their covert activities. Oh boy. Meanwhile, Dean and Bobby are in an abandoned barn gearing up for a summoning ritual, although Bobby has persistently declared that it's a bad idea. After the summoning, a man in a trench coat appears, causing lights to go haywire. He walks over the devil's trap and is unharmed when Bobby and Dean shoot him with rock salt. Dean asks who the man is, and he says, "I'm the one who grabbed you tight and raised you from perdition." Dean thanks him and then stabs him with Ruby's knife. It has no effect. Bobby tries to attack him from behind, but the man easily wards off the attack and then renders Bobby unconscious, so that he can talk to Dean alone. The man reveals to Dean that he is Castiel, an angel of the Lord. Dean doesn't believe him, as Castiel criticizes his lack of faith. Castiel reveals a pair of shadowy angel's wings that emerge briefly from his back. Though surprised at this, Dean angrily berates him for burning Pamela's eyes out, as Castiel sees that his true form can be overwhelming for humans, and that he didn't warn her to turn back. He also explains they tried on 2 occasions to talk to Dean in his true voice, which was the shrieks Dean heard. Castiel states certain people can hear him, however. Dean turned out not to be one of them, so now Castiel is taking control of a vessel, a willing human host who desired to serve heaven. Dean asks why an angel rescued him from hell. Castiel slowly approaches him, staring into his eyes intensely, and says, "You don't think you deserve to be saved?" Dean winces, then asks him again why he did it. Castiel tells him they saved him from hell at God's command. They have work for Dean to do. Dun dun dun. So let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. Dean was dead from Season 3's finale until now. 4 months have passed since the end of No Rest for the Wicked. Ruby has acquired a new meat suit. At one point, Dean jokingly refers to himself as the smarter brother. While this is meant to be in jest, the later episode Metamorphosis reveals Sam feels Dean behaves condescendingly towards him because the latter deems the former to not be wise. Anyway, now let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. This episode marks the first appearance of Castiel. He later becomes the main character in the show in seasons 5 through 6 and 9 through 15. Busty Asian Beast makes another appearance, this time on the magazine rack of the gas station Dean raids. This is the first appearance of Ruby, as who played Genevieve Cortez. Genevieve would later become Jared Padalecki's real-life wife. One of the talismans and symbols that Bobby draws to try to trap Castiel is Jacob Karn's talisman from Hookman. Sam exercises the demon with his abilities for the first time in this episode. Apparently the Winchesters are Star Wars fans. When Dean is trying to get the location of Sam's phone, he says his name is Wedge Antilles. Wedge Antilles is a recurring character in all 3 original Star Wars films, a major character in several expanded universe novels, and the main protagonist of the X-Wing series. Antilles was the Corellian pilot and later general who led Rogue Squadron, which he co-founded with Luke Skywalker. The episode's name is derived from the stories of Lazarus of Bethany, who was restored to life 4 days after his death by Jesus. This is made slightly different in this episode. The date on the newspaper Dean looks at in the first scene is the date the premiere aired. The season marks the start of Genevieve Cortez and Jared Padalecki's courtship. The men have fell in love on set. Just like I laughed at in the French Mistake. They're married now and have 3 kids. Although Gabriel appeared in season 2, this episode marks the formal introduction of an angel. CW's official summary for this episode includes an error where actor Jim Beaver is not cited as a guest star as per the usual format. Castiel told Dean he raised him from perdition, which in this case means hell, but in lore it means purgatory. And now finally let's take a look at an error. Dean used his silver knife to cut his arm to prove to Bobby that he's not a shapeshifter or a revenant. However, just a minute or 2 later when Dean shows Bobby the handprint on his shoulder, the cut has vanished. So overall, I really like this episode, and as the first episode of season 4, it's definitely really good, and season 4 is also my favorite season, so yeah. So overall, I give Lazarus Rising, I'll give it 4 Impalas out of 5. Anyway, tune in bed as we take the next episode. Are you there? Are you there, God? It's me, Dean Winchester. So until then, remember everyone. So until then. Gosh, what's my neural outro again? I forget. I think it's something about like saving people, hunting things, the family business. No, wait, no. Remember everyone. Anyway, so until next time, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.